Hi, it's Cheralyn here. Thank you so much for dropping by my Florisphere YouTube channel. What you found is the very first in my How to Draw Flowers series, and this one is how to draw a Waratah. I'm really excited about this one because it's one that everybody's been asking me to do. Well, everyone's been asking me to share how to draw and how to do more creative techniques, and I've really enjoyed the correspondences and the connections that many of you have made with me over particularly the last 12 months. So this is for you, this series, and I have already filmed a whole lot of these, and they are based on my flower reading cards, and also there's a few that are in my colouring in books as well. Now these are really back to the basics, beginners how to draw lessons. You may already know how to draw and you may already be doing other things with creativity, and if you are, you might like to look at this as a creative reawakening, a place for you to go back to those beginning times, maybe find something new and really go and springboard off, spread those creative wings and just play and have a great time with this video. In the video, I'll also be sharing a little bit about gardening with Waratahs, and I'll also be having a little chat about the energetic qualities of Waratahs as well for healing and guidance and inspiration. A little bit of something in there for everyone, I think. So I hope you enjoy it. It's about 45 minutes long, so you're quite welcome to share it and keep it in your little YouTube files as well. If you would like to share your progress or ask questions, do so in all the comments down below. And you can also join me on YouTube, on Facebook, on www.facebook.com/Florisphere. So I'd love to see your completed Waratahs. That'd be fantastic, and have a chat about your experiences as well. As this is my first how to draw video, I'd love some feedback as well. I really would. I've been teaching art and craft for well over 3 decades, but this is one of the first how to draw videos that I've created. If you're already colouring in, hello, be brave, come on, jump in, the water's fine. So let's begin drawing Waratahs. So ideally, you'd want to be sitting in front of a Waratah in full bloom in front of you so that you could look at the line and the form while you learn to draw it. But of course, this isn't going to be possible for probably the majority of you, so you'll need a reference picture of some sort. I would encourage you that, especially after the first couple of goes of this, that you do sit outside and you do be out in nature while you draw, because it does bring a different layer and element to your work, and it really makes you connected with nature and more aware of what's happening around you while you're drawing these things. Using a reference picture to begin with is really good for you to strip away and focus on line and shape to start with, especially if you've never drawn before, or if you've had a big break, or you've never drawn a Waratah before and you'd like to start exploring. Now this is my Australian wildflower reading cards. I wrote these. They're based on the meanings of flowers and the healing modalities that they could be used in. And I also did the artwork. This is all lino print, and I painted them in gouache afterwards. I'll actually be working through this deck and my flower reading deck in these How to Draw Flowers workshops. So if you have these, you can sort of follow along with me with them. If you don't have them, you can obtain them from any good bookstore, or you can use other images. You could find some on the internet, or you could find them in some botany books or other art books. So what you'll need to help you is an image of a Waratah. And I'm going to use this one in the video. And you can probably stop this and have a look at it as well, of course. The other things you'll need, my trusty pencil is the Staedtler Mars Lumograph 3B. I really love it. It's a really medium weight pencil, but any graphite lead pencil. You'll also need a water resistant or a permanent sort of fineliner of some sort. I usually use a 0.2 or 0.3, 0.1 is really good too, but definitely a 0.2, could get away with a 0.4, a little heavy. Either these little paper stumps. These are for blending afterwards when we do a bit of shading. If you don't have paper stumps, you could use some cotton buds as well, or this, your finger. And you'll need an eraser. This is the Sandford non-smudging peel off magic rub, another big favourite of mine, because you can sort of really get into those little tight spaces when you're erasing things, but any eraser will do. And you might need a pencil sharpener. Now, I'm quite okay with drawing circles, but you might be, I always find drawing straight lines and drawing circles are the two things when I'm teaching people that they sort of stress out about the most. So you might like to use something like this, little stencil, template, or you might like to use something like this that I've just nicked out of Mr. Darcy's bar, his Depression era shot glass. So a shot glass is probably a really good size for this, to be quite honest. Something like this to draw a little circle as well. But don't be scared to just draw a circle, because nature isn't perfect, and when you're looking at our form, our circle's going to be a bit squishy around the edges as well. But I do understand when people are starting to draw, it can be a bit daunting to take those first steps. So they're the things that you need to start off. So your pen, your pencil, paper stump or cotton buds, or your finger, you'll have that, an eraser, pencil sharpener. I do like a sharp pencil, let me tell you, and maybe something to sketch around. Oh, and of course you'll need something to draw on. So at the moment, any sort of paper, this is just illustration paper they call it. It's like a little bit thicker than bond paper, I guess it is. Probably not as thick as watercolour paper. So any sort of sketchbook paper will do. So I'm going to break this right down, and I will use templates, and I will use the easiest way to do this so that you can really explore the line and the way that we put together a Waratah, and then later on you can start developing your own style and freedom, and hopefully sit in front of a Waratah as well and explore the extra nuances that you can bring into your drawing as well. This is really simple, basic how to draw a flower and how to draw a Waratah. Particularly, I'm trying to encourage those of you who are my colouring in friends who would like to take the next steps with creativity. And so this is a little leap for you. As I said, those of you who have been drawing and doing creative things already, this could be something that is a great little creative exercise that you can springboard off. So I will be using a template. Don't usually, but I will, so that you can just see how you can get this together. So you need to draw a circle. That's your first thing, because that's what we're looking at here, the circle of the Waratah. When we're looking at things to draw, we're looking at the shapes, okay? So we're not standing here trying to draw this whole thing at once. We're breaking it into shapes. So the first shape we can see is a circle. It is a bit elongated, but basically a circle. Okay, now around that circle are these things, and they're called bracts. These are actually the flowers in here of a Waratah, and these are bracts. And bracts, B-R-A-C-T-S. They are modified leaves, and they look like petals to us. It's the same as a sunflower. The same sort of thing. In a Waratah, they're very waxy, very thick, waxy, shiny. The whole thing is such a beautiful, beautiful flower. They're actually the emblem of New South Wales in Australia. They're our state flower. I live in New South Wales, so that's why I say our. Okay, so we're going to draw these around here, and as I said, this is a very stylized Waratah, more stylized than this one, in fact. So what we're going to do is draw the center line of these bracts here. So coming around, we're just going to draw some straight lines. Now, I teach a lot of people to draw for the first time and do a lot of things for the first time in creativity, and I always share the same lesson. This might be the best Waratah you ever draw, but it probably won't be. It'll probably be the worst Waratah, and that's okay, because each Waratah you draw, you'll get better, you'll go back a few steps, and next you might do a couple that are not as good as the one you just did. But we're not aiming for perfection here, we're just breaking it down. We're just step by step having a look at what makes it up. This is exploring a Waratah, exploring sketches and lines. So no one can see this. It's not a two-way camera, so it's just you. And don't worry about it. It's okay. It's okay if it's crappy. So we're just doing a few of those lines. So there are lots of them here, but that's another thing. Let's stylize this. Just let's do a few of them. Just let's practice with this. So that's the middle of each one. And what we're going to do is draw these outside lines. As I said, I'm going to do a really stylized one. So they're like big leaves. So imagine a leaf starts in, it's going to go out like a curve and go in. If you find it hard to come back around here, again, here and around like that. Let's be a little trickier. Make that one a bit thinner here, coming up to the line almost. And maybe we'll come right out like that on that side. This one, same thing, let's explore. There's this thing here too. This is a pencil and this is an eraser. So if you really hate it, erase it. But I encourage you not to. I'd encourage you just to see where it goes. As I said, we're not hanging this one in the Museum of Modern Art tomorrow. So that's what we've got so far. So it's a basic form. So we can see this basic form around here. So we've got this far and you can see we've left this space here. I probably should have told you that before, but we do need to leave that bit of a space up the top here. Now that we've done this, and I do this afterwards because I just find when I'm drawing these bracts around the side that when I get to here, sometimes one goes a bit further this way than that way. And I'm actually studying Ikebana at the moment, and there's a lot in my classes at the moment that talk about the face of the flower, like which way is up. And I really got it because I do this in drawing all the time. So I'm looking at which way is up with my Waratah. You can see here, this is the point here. So I'm looking for that point in my drawing here. So I'm kind of thinking it's here. And I'm going to draw a line straight through, just lightly with my pencil. Make sure you're using pencil as well because we are going to erase these middle lines. We're going to erase this later. So this middle line is this line. We need that because we need to form this circle around here. We need to make this look like a ball because that's what it looks like. And in order to do that, we need this center line. So don't measure it with rulers or anything. You don't need to do that. Find the point and just draw that center line straight through it. Once you've done that, then we're going to do these curved lines. Up here, that one's going to be quite big, as you can see, because we're going to fit some of these little bits here in little circles, okay? This is what we're going to do. We're not going to do that just yet, but they're going to fit in here. So you want to have a bit of a space there. And then we're going to do the lines here. Now have a look at my artwork. Have a look at a picture of a Waratah, and you will see that there is a pattern to it, but it can be a bit haphazard. I will tell you this about myself right now. I am not a traditionally trained botanical artist. I love botanical art and I've done a few botanical art lessons, but I am more of a fine artist. I much prefer creative freedom and creative expression in my work. That's just personally what I like to do. You might really like to do very tight, photographically, perfectly correct images, and that's perfectly okay. So you can break off and do that as well. So you can make sure that each of these is absolutely perfect as per your Waratah specimen. It's just not the way that I work, but I do work in this sort of freer creative expression way, and I do like to sort of show people how to start things off and breaking it down. So just that you know that while we're doing this, because I know there'll be some of you that here watching this who do like to work like that or would like to work like that. It's okay. This will get you started either way. So we're doing these circles, and you can see already these curves, these semicircles. You can see already how I've been able to make this look like a ball. So you might want to practice that a little bit. You might want to erase a couple of them, but I just put in 3 or 4 lines here, something this big. And these lines are going to help us fill in the rest of the Waratah. So now we will come in and start filling this in. And what you want to do, ideally, is probably have bigger circles here and go over that line. It's perfectly okay. because we're going to come in and go over these lines as well. And then going into smaller circles up the top. As I just explained a minute ago, you know, you can make this absolutely perfect and symmetrical, or you can be a little bit more creatively free. It's up to you. So I've just done a few of these so you can start to get an idea here. But you're going to start filling this up with little commas. That's all this part here. Okay. And I describe them as commas because I think that that's probably the closest to the way the shape is. Now you can either practice your little commas, just sort of freehand like that. You're going to need to do them the other way as well. Oh, I didn't do that one the other way. You're going to need to do them the other way. It is very hard for me filming. There's no excuses. I should just be a professional. But I'm sort of like, this is all a tripod and everything here. This is a challenge for me. So practicing your little commas. The other way you can do it, break it right down, is to do little, oh, we're sort of right up there. Oh, I've got all this room down here, haven't I? Look at that. Do little circles and then bring your comma in like that with two lines. So a circle. Am I still on camera? Oh, yeah, I am. And the other way as well. Yeah, so you can practice those like that. Or you can, you know, I can't get it around that around that tripod. Okay, I need lessons on how to draw with a tripod in front of you. So then we're going to come in and fill this up. So having a look at here, so we can do our little circles. As I said, I'll break it right down for you. So we're doing our little circles and our little tails like that. Coming in, coming in. So we're going obviously this way, curving, see, this way. And they're curving this way. So when they come in the middle, they're kind of straight, okay? And then they're kind of straight, and then they're kind of circle. Don't worry about lines going out and all that sort of thing at the moment, because we're going to come in and tidy that all up later. And up here, don't be scared of going out, because that's what's happening with a Waratah. It will be going out, and it actually looks better that there's a couple kicking out there. So same thing, we're coming in with our commas and filling it all in. There we go. And in we go. Couple straight ones. It's probably ideal to do them. This is a little small, even though I sort of said I'm doing it a bit bigger than normally. It's probably good to do these ones a little bigger and then going into smaller, because if you go and look at a Waratah, that's exactly what's happening with them. It's not such a great big change over the Waratah, but they do tend to look like that. So just putting them in like that, so a little sketchy bit, so you're all sort of filled up with those little commas. That's it. And down here you might want to do a couple little circles as well. That's it. It's all nice and tight in here. So now we've got that all filled up, so have a little work away at that bit. So now I've got to this point. I like to fill in these gaps a little bit because it is quite filled in, a Waratah. To do that, we're just going to come in with curves like this. So you're imagining the ends of your bracts, of your leaf-like subjects, structures. There you go. So just like that. You might want to leave that one or put one in. And ideally they're a little bit shorter, a little bit stubbier, but whatever feels right for you at the moment, that will help you do that. So just coming in and putting those ones in, that helps a lot to fill it in. And once you've done that, you might want to put another couple sort of overlaid a little bit on your bracts, a little bit coming out. Just give it a little bit of form. Okay, so now's the scary bit. It is a little bit scary because we're going to commit to pen now. So what we've put down over the top in pen, of course, we're not going to be able to erase, but that's okay. So the way that I'm teaching you here with this sort of pencil work and then pen work just leads you through the background process of doing your Waratah. Of course, you want to eventually get to a position where you're just sketching your Waratah in pencil, and you might just leave it in pencil as well, and you won't be doing all these extra little bit of structure bits because you would be experienced in drawing the form, and you just go ahead and sketch it. But this is a really good way to get you started, so that's what I'm trying to get you to do. And committing in pen now, it is an art form, it is a material form, pen and wash, pen on its own. But by committing in pen now and then erasing all our background work, we're able to see sort of an end result, something that we're aiming for eventually when we sit down and draw our Waratah. So what we're going to do is draw over the lines that we want to keep. So that's it. So anything here that we're looking at that we don't want, of course, we can just ignore because we're going to erase it afterwards. And this is why it's important to have something that's at least water resistant, or something that's not going to smudge. So you really want that. I would ideally start with this center bit because you don't want to sort of go over lines here. So I would start with my sort of circles up here. Like this. And I've actually gone right, it might be a little bit hard for you to see what's happening here because I've gone quite heavy so that I can make sure that you can see it on the video. But I'm just going over the circle. Now, these bits here are a little trickier because here, I'll just use a really heavy pen. Obviously, you don't want to go like this. You don't want that circle here. That doesn't look right, does it? If you've got this sort of form, you only want to go around there because we're going to erase that other bit afterwards. So when we're going around here, we're just going to go around those outside bits, okay? And this is our chance to sort of, we might change a few directions, you know, we might pop one up a little bit tighter, and things like that. So it is our chance to do that. Okay, so go ahead and fill that whole Waratah with your pen work. How'd you go? So once you've done all that, leave it for a few moments to dry, to make sure we're not going to smudge it. And you might want to sort of look at the Waratah and look at the form. And I'll just let you know that Waratah is all about survival. And if I gave it to somebody in the language of flowers, I would be saying most definitely get well soon. I'd be saying have courage. If someone was going through a difficult time, that's the sort of flower that I would give them. And it's a bit like sunflower energy, you know, it is that uplifting flower, but it's a little overpowering for some people as well. It connects very, very much with, you know, adaptability and tenacity and willingness to keep going as well. And I really see it as that when you actually experience Waratah in the Australian bush. It grows in places that are not really right off the beaten track, but they're sort of off paths. I usually find them like off tracks and things like that, and you'll be sort of, you know, going through the bush and boom, here's this great big beautiful Waratah in the middle of nowhere, and they can grow quite high. So they really have this feeling of like being up and above everything and reaching for the sky. And they grow in these a little bit denser sort of bushy places as well. I really love them. They're one of my favourite flowers. Got so many favourites, but they are. I think it's because I am from New South Wales. So for healing, they really help people who are really feeling a lot down actually as well. You have to be careful because they can be a bit overpowering in that way too. Okay, so whenever you're erasing, whether you're using one of these or whether you're using you know, a square or rectangular eraser, it's circular action. Because when you're erasing, what you're actually doing is you aren't lifting off your pencil mark, but you're lifting off little bits of paper. So, you know, going like this, you're actually rubbing holes in papers. So if you're doing, I always think you're sort of massaging. So just imagine you're massaging your paper with your eraser. And I don't want to blow into the microphone, but I usually blow, or I use a little paintbrush. That's another sort of thing. I don't usually smudge with my fingers, so don't do what I'm doing. Blow or use a little paintbrush. Now my lines, as I said, they're quite dark. Yours won't be as dark as this. Probably should have told you that at the beginning. Rewind, start again. It won't be your last Waratah. Okay, so don't be too heavy with your pencil marks. You don't need to be. I do, because I'm trying to show you. So you should end up with something like that, okay? Now, I've got a few lines that are going over. I never quite worry about that. I'm just one of those people. I'll come in afterwards and I'll put some colour on there as well. As I said, I like really expressive artwork. That's me. I want to see the passion and the energy in it. I'm not somebody that's, you know, will lament the fact that I haven't got a completely perfect photographic representation of whatever it is I'm painting. I want to be able to feel what I see. So that's just me. So and I'd actually prefer to spend more time even doing that over and over and over again than on one. But you might be the other, and that's perfectly okay. So same thing, we're going to go over these lines as well, and I'd encourage you to do the ones that we put a centre line in first, just because it's easier for us to go and pop the other ones in, because it's always hard to get right on top of your line. Don't do the centre lines, just those outside lines. Okay, so going over, same thing, you can do a little bit of an adjustment here now if you wanted to. Probably, if this is the first time you've ever drawn a flower, you probably don't want to. Probably said something really scary there, sorry. I'm all about making things not scary. So you go around and do those, and then we're going to do the ones that are tucking behind. So just touching on that line and coming in and touching on that line, okay? And there you go. And just so you're tucking those ones behind. It's a really interesting thing with drawing. You usually draw, you know, what's on top first and then what's behind second. You know, you're tucking things behind. Did I miss that one? No. That's how dark my pencil is. Crazy. Okay, same thing, circular actions to get rid of that pencil mark, and you won't have as much problem as me. There you go. I've got a really grippy paper. It's got a really a heavy tooth, so it is an illustration paper. I haven't used this one before, so I probably would have used something smoother had I thought about it. I've got too many papers in here, that's the problem with me. So you're getting rid of that centre line, of course, as well. So there you go. So you know what? You've pretty much drawn a Waratah once you've done this. So that's a really good thing. So that's just the line work. That is a simple line work. So that's it, you've finished, you've done it. Hooray, pat yourself on the back, have a big cheer, throw some glitter around the place. No, don't throw glitter anywhere. Throw some potpourri and dried leaves everywhere, nature glitter. There we go. You won't have to do as much as that. That's just me. Okay, that's it. You've drawn a Waratah. Finished. But what we're going to do next is we'll add some shading. Okay, let's add that shading. So coming back with the same 3B pencil, but you might want to go with a darker pencil, so a 4B, 5B, 6B as well if you want to. I do everything in 3B because I just come back in a bit harder and darker. That's all I sort of do if I want to. To shade, pick your light source. I've actually got a light here shining down here, you can see on that. I didn't notice that before. Come over here, you. So, you know, pick your light source coming down here. So imagine if something's shining on here. You know, I've got this, my shot glass here. You can see there's the shadows going off to the side here, down to the bottom, however you want it. But I'm sort of looking at the lights probably coming down a bit more that way. So there's shadow underneath these bits here. And just coming in and shading all underneath these bits. And this is what gives it three-dimensional form, is your shading. Okay, it's pencil, so it's okay, we can rub it out, but just go a little lighter first if you want to, and you can come in later on. Now this is the interesting bit. We've got these little bracts that are behind, remember the top ones here, so we want to come in on this side because they're behind. So if something's behind, it's got shade on it. Okay, if I go like that, See my hand here, it's got the shade, so I'll be drawing. Can you see how you could draw that shade in a line there? That's exactly what we're doing here. We're drawing that shade. I'm someone who exaggerates my shading. I shouldn't say I'm a shady lady. No, I'm not. I'm not. I love it. I want to see the drama of it. Now up here, we've got the light coming down here, so we're probably going to have less here. Okay, don't stress out. You know, like as I said, it's your first time. It's okay. So we're going to have a little bit more there. Okay. Oop. Go over the lines. There's shade here. But what I want to show you when you're doing all the shade, and I'll be shading all in here, all in here. I'm going crazy with my little shading all around there. And you could even shade a little bit on here. And to do that, I would just be putting a couple of lines. See how you've automatically given that a little bit of shade? You know, there you go. Just a little bit like that. So to do this here, I've got my little paper stump. It's pretty hard to do it with your finger. I know I did suggest it at the beginning of the video, but it is. So you can make a little paper stump. Just roll up some paper really, really tightly and then attach a bit of sticky tape. That's the stuff. A little bit of sticky tape there to hold it, or you can use cotton buds really easy, especially the when I lived in America, what were they called? Q-tips, because they are quite pointy. Or you can cut down, if you're in Australia, you can cut down the cotton buds. So same thing, circular motions, everyone. There we go. You're going to end up with whatever you've got. You're going to end up with some graphite, some lead pencil on the end here, and I would be using that. Now how I would be using that, so this is a bit heavy, this shading, but I'll show you the magic of my special eraser. So we do that. So I'd be using this just really lightly down the outsides, because you can imagine these are sort of curved a bit and it gives it a bit of form. See that? It's just so subtle, unlike my shading down here. So you can actually pick some more up. See, look. And just that gives it an instantly a little bit of form, because that's what, looking at the shadow and the light of something is where we find the form. Okay, so doing that. Now if you think that that's a bit too heavy, okay, you can just come in with your little eraser. See how good that is? I am going to blow, hang on. I don't want to, because you don't want to do that with your hands. I've just done it, but you probably don't want to. Once you do this, you'll get graphite everywhere. But so we can just come in, and you just need to touch. When I teach people in person, these are the problems that I see, and I can let you know now in case this is a problem that you're experiencing. You know, they come in and go, oh, that's too heavy. Oh, you know, that's too much. So just light touches, really light touches will just pick it up. Just pick that up, that's it. Okay. Ooh. So we're starting to shade here, and you can go around and you can be like me, you can overshade everywhere, because I just like the dramatic. There we go. So coming in and doing all that. Now I want to show you underneath here. This is what makes things pop. And I know there'll be a couple of you who were with me at the Sydney Botanical Gardens. It would have been last week now. And you were loving, they were butterflies, someone did. They were beautiful. They were very botanically correct butterflies. They were amazing. I love them myself. And they had the shading around them, and the artwork itself was amazing. It was botanically correct. It was gorgeous of these butterflies. But also the artist employed shading underneath the butterflies, and that's what made them look 3D. And you can do that too. So just putting your little bit of graphite underneath. Actually, I think that artist was it was in watercolor, and they used like a grey wash, but it would have had the same effect as what we're doing here, and that is to put the shading underneath. Now, I've done this on purpose really heavily. I swear I did. I know I was talking and I was distracted, but I did, because I just want to show you how easy it is to lift off as well. What I want you to do is bring it right down. So working in circles. Oh, shouldn't be touching the camera. Don't want you shaking everywhere there. So bringing it right down. So we are really giving it like like this artist did, like it looked like a grey wash. I think that's what they did underneath. Could have done it in pencil, but I think it was grey wash. There we go, and you could do that too. I might show you how to do that in future. So then you can come in and take any of that off. But when you do that, you will end up with little white sort of splodges here and there. So you just come back in. Because see how that was just a bit too heavy? A bit too heavy. Just come back in again. There we go. And that's it. Same here, bit too heavy. Take some off. And getting rid of that again. There we go. And then when we finish it, good and finish it, we make sure this is really, really clean. So you'd really want to, on a spare piece of paper, make sure you get rid of all the graphite off that. And I would be coming really quite in there, and I'll never get rid of that centre line. I'd be coming in and really clearing up the bits that I want to be really white as well. This one isn't all complete. I will work on this and have a nice completed one as well. But these are all the little things that you can do to make your little Waratah drawing a little bit more realistic and pop a little bit as well. Basically, that's it. That's how to draw a Waratah. Now, what you need to do is to practice and do it quite a few times. Practice with different sizes. You might want to do a really big one. Remembering, you know, you'll need to do a different amount of lines in these. So having a bit of a practice with what needs to be done, like how big these need to be done. But that's about the sort of ratio here that you'll need to get this done. Coming in afterwards with just little lines. These are other little tiny tricks. So after you've sort of cleaned it up, this gives it a little bit more, just a couple of little lines like this, a little bit more character. That's what I find. And again, we're finding that form, we're finding that shape of Waratah. Now you can grow Waratah as well. It's a protected flower, so don't pick it if you find it. It's illegal to do that. I know it's quite popular to sell it as a cut flower, so please make sure that you're buying it from a reputable source. You've got to be really, really careful of that, because there are people, not very nice people, who steal them from our national parks and bushland and sell them. So that's really, really important. To grow Waratah yourself, they sort of do better from seed, but you can grow them from cuttings. There's a lot of sort of tales out there that say just treat Waratah really mean and they'll just grow. Look, they probably will grow, but they probably won't do as well as they should. So I find they work really well with blood and bone. Someone told me that ages ago. They need obviously sort of open soil, because that's where they're from, New South Wales, that sort of soil as well. I've made my own compost, and I have a lot of gum trees, so I use a lot of my leaves and things like that around it. But I like to keep things quite open around them as well. They take a long time till they flower as well. So there's nothing quite wrong if you haven't seen a flower for a while. You're going to have to wait a long time for Waratahs. But once they get going, like, you've got them. And then they're a gorgeous thing, and they're just so precious to have as well. If you live in New South Wales particularly, I think there's no excuse really. You should really try and grow them. If you've got a garden, you should be have some Waratahs, and just be patient. It'll pay off in the end, and nature will love you. It will really love you for having some Waratahs. So I have some. They do, they're not going to do great out in the middle of the open. They probably do better under a bit of canopy of gum trees if you've got them there. So you will have to have a good look at the different types and sort of experiment with what will go well in your garden. But you will be rewarded with the Queen of Summer, as a lot of people like to refer to Waratah. The name Waratah is an Indigenous name, and it actually means beautiful, or most beautiful, and you can sort of see. I think if you see a Waratah in person, you can't deny they are absolutely so gorgeous. I love them. I've planted some here in my new home, and I can't wait until they flower. So there's your Waratah. So if you want to have the opportunity to send them along to me and share them with me. I'd love to see what you do with them. So just underneath the video here, just post links if you like, or you can hop along to the Florisphere Facebook page and share them there. If you've got questions as well, please ask them underneath the videos. I'm only too happy to give you a hand. And if you've got suggestions for the video, this is my first how to draw video. I've been sharing videos doing lots of different things. Open to suggestions, you know, if something worked or didn't work, or if you think I could do something a bit better in the way that I'm showing you how to do this. I've been teaching art in person for a few decades and a bit, but I'm always open to suggestions as well. So happy drawing out in nature as well. And if you do have Waratahs around you, if you grow them, oh gosh, please share them with us all. We'd love to see them. Okay, until next time, may nature always bless you, but more importantly, may you always be a blessing to nature. Bye bye, my friends.